Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I am your host, William Tapley, also known as the Third Eagle of the Apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. On my last Flat Earth video, which I posted last week, one of my subscribers sent me an interesting note, and I would like to read this for you. And this is from Gray Wolf, and he said, William, I don't know why you persist in trying to debunk this flat earth garbage. You are wasting time and ignoring three basic rules, in my humble opinion. Here's what he writes. Rule number 1, you can't fix stupid. Rule number 2, no amount of proof will ever be sufficient to convince those who refuse to accept the truth. And rule number 3, you are not going to change the minds of those who knowingly and intentionally promote falsity. Well, Grey Wolf, I agree with you 100%. However, please don't forget, these people want to be known as stupid because it is a psyop. We have no idea who they are personally. I personally think that they are atheists pretending to be Christians. I believe that they are government agents pretending to be 9/11 truthers. And later, Grey Wolf made another comment. He said, yesterday, Francis met with the Russian Orthodox Patriarch in Cuba, a communist country. That was the first such meeting in 1,000 years. I'm quite sure that there is some biblical significance to that. I, along with many of your other subscribers, would be interested in your analysis of that. Thank you very much, Grey Wolf. Well, I will make a few remarks. I do believe there is biblical significance, that it does fulfill Bible prophecy, however, not specifically. In other words, not that specific incident. There's no doubt that Archbishop Kirill, the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church, and Pope Francis would be two heads of the Antichrist and his one world religion. As you know, in the book of Revelation, the Antichrist has 7 heads and 10 horns. Let's read what John writes in, and I will get out, this is my Catholic Bible, the Douay-Rheims edition, in chapter 13, verse number 1. And I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 diadems, and upon his heads names of blasphemy. While the 10 heads with diadems indicate world secular leaders, and 10 is a number of completion in Bible prophecy, that simply means that all the world's leaders will support the Antichrist. And the 7 heads have names of blasphemy. That simply means they represent heretical religions of the world. And certainly Kirill would fit into that category. The Russian Orthodox Church broke away from Rome 1,000 years ago. And they are in schism. They do not acknowledge the Pope as the head of the church. They allow, for example, I believe, 2 divorces and 3 remarriages. That's not at all what Jesus teaches. He taught that any man who leaves his wife and marries another commits adultery. And I suppose you could say the Orthodox Church is better than most Protestant denominations because they allow unlimited divorce and remarriage, as per their example, King Henry VIII. Now, I also want to note that these 7 heads of blasphemy are predicted in the Old Testament in Isaiah chapter 4, verse number 1. And here's what he writes. And in that day, now when he says that day, he's talking about the end times, the times we are living in today, 7 women, that refers to the same as the 7 heads of the Antichrist with names of blasphemy, will take hold of one man, that's the Antichrist, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. When they eat their own bread, that means they will have their own Eucharist. And they wear their own apparel, that means they want their own doctrines. However, only let us be called by thy name and take away our reproach. In other words, they want to be known as members of the one world religion. Maybe you remember Psy's video, Gangnam Style, where Psy, portraying the Antichrist, is in a bus, and there are 7 women on the bus. And at first they are rather reluctant to support Psy, as he's trying to lead them in apostasy, That's how I interpret it. Eventually, they all get up and do their crazy dance along with Simon. And that is right out of Isaiah. And so, in conclusion, what we saw here was a meeting of two of the heads. Now, the reason they met in Cuba is because the Pope is not allowed to visit Russia. The so-called collapse of the Soviet Union is one of Satan's greatest deceptions of the end times, as I have said on this program many, many times. Mary said at Fatima that the Pope would have to consecrate Russia. The Vatican says that has been accomplished. This meeting between the Pope and Kirill in Cuba proves that Russia has not been consecrated. Otherwise, the Pope would certainly be free to visit Russia. And so, Grey Wolf, thank you for your comments. I hope that helps in your understanding of the situation. And those are my opinions. I would appreciate your comments and the comments of anyone else. And if you would like more information about my ministry, visit my thirdeaglemedia.com website.